An expert hitman, a young apprentice, and a deadly mission, this movie brings you action, suspense, and unexpected twists. What happens when betrayal and revenge collide? Welcome to the world of killers. I'm Kramen. At the beginning of this story, we are introduced to a cartel leader in Colombia. He lands from his plane and directly enters a car, heading toward his luxurious palace where several people, including his servants and bodyguards, are waiting for him. After changing his clothes, he goes to take a swim in the pool located at the center of his house. It is then that he notices his watch at the bottom of the pool. As he bends down to pick it up, a man suddenly pulls him underwater and kills him. To avoid alarming the guards above due to the commotion in the water, the man quickly arranges the dead body in such a way that it appears the boss is still swimming in the pool. He then sneaks away, carefully avoiding detection. Outside, he had already made arrangements to escape. We soon learn that this man's name is Arthur Bishop, a trained contract killer known as the Mechanic. He works for a company that specializes in assassination. Arthur never goes directly to kill anyone. Instead, he first researches his targets, learning their strengths, weaknesses, and movements. He knows exactly when and where they will be vulnerable and then strikes like a skilled hunter. After completing this mission, Arthur visits his boss, Harry, who manages the entire assassination team, assigns new projects, and handles payments once the job is done. Harry tells Arthur that, of all the students he has trained, Arthur is the best and the most outstanding. He expresses pride in having Arthur as his student. Harry also talks about his son, whom he is disappointed with. Once Arthur receives his payment, he heads to a club to relax and meets a girl named Sarah. They become intimate. Sarah, who was one of his favorite girls, often asks him about the scars on his body, wondering if he has been in fights. But Arthur never reveals his secrets, and he doesn't tell her anything. A few days later, Arthur receives a contract to kill someone, but it's not just anyone, it's Harry, his mentor. Arthur later speaks with Harry's partner, Dean, and learns that Harry has betrayed them. He has killed 5 members of their team. Dean confirms that Harry has switched sides and now plans to kill them. Arthur is now instructed to plan Harry's death because, if he doesn't, he might end up being killed by Harry himself. Arthur begins his planning and keeps an eye on the company where he once worked. After a few days of preparation, he calls Harry and informs him that Dean is planning to have him killed and wants to eliminate him. Arthur says he is sending some assassins to protect him. Arthur, the assassins will reach you in just a little while, so first of all, I want you to disconnect your phone line. Then go nearby and disable the security alarms too. Don't exit from the main gate, use the back route. After that, go straight to the parking lot. I'll keep the car ready for you. Following all these instructions, Harry reaches the parking lot, only to find that it's not another assassin standing there, but Arthur Bishop himself. Harry understands immediately. So you've planned my death too. You had me disable the security system with my own hands, block the alarms, and lure me to a place where it's just you and me. Harry, now disabled, says, let's make this look a bit more realistic. I'll fire a few shots at the car so that it looks like I died in a shootout. As Harry prepares to die, he asks, at least tell me, who made you plan my murder? I didn't have any enemies. But Bishop says nothing and shoots Harry dead. After his death, Harry's funeral takes place, and we see his son, Steve McKenna, who wants to become a mechanic, a mercenary killer, just like his father. Arthur also arrives to lay flowers at Harry's grave and meets Steve there. Steve tells him, my father was a mentor to both of us. He taught you everything, chose you over me. He never thought I was capable, but he gave you the best training. So now it's your responsibility to train me, because I want to kill the man who sent my father to his grave. Now, how could Arthur tell him that he was the one who killed his father? Still, out of guilt and debt toward Harry, Arthur agrees to take Steve under his wing and teach him everything he had learned from Harry. Meanwhile, their training begins: how to shoot a gun, how to talk to people, how to gather information. Arthur teaches Steve all of it. One day, Arthur receives another killing contract. He goes to the house of the target, a former teammate. Although Arthur had never planned this man's murder, he kills him, hangs him with a belt, and stages it to look like a suicide. Seeing all this, Steve starts thinking that maybe he too could kill someone like this, no matter the planning, as long as he creates circumstances to make it look like an accident, not a planned murder. The next day, Bishop is in his favorite car. Steve asks if he can drive it, but Bishop refuses. They head to the market for some shopping. While walking, Arthur tells Steve, our next target is a mafia don. To kill him, we'll need a lot of practice. So first, let's get a dog. They visit a dog shelter and choose a small puppy. Arthur says, "Keep it with you, build affection, make it your pet." Steve asks why, but Arthur simply says, "Do as I say." One day at home, Steve tries to listen to some music, but Arthur forbids him from playing a specific CD, saying, "Never play this, it's my favorite." Steve starts wondering, what's with this guy? Every favorite thing of his, he doesn't let me touch. One day, I'll definitely do it. Then comes the day they had been preparing for, the execution of their main assassination plan. Every day, Steve used to visit a cafe with his dog. The Mafia Don also used to notice him regularly. The real reason, that Don had a soft corner for dogs. That's why, from the beginning, Arthur had told Steve to pick that specific dog. Professionally, the Mafia Don looked powerful, but he was bisexual. So, Steve and Arthur had planned that one day, they would get a Mafia Don completely drunk at a club. Once he was fully intoxicated, the Don would take Steve home with him. There, Steve would break his neck, making it look like he accidentally fell while drunk and died. But Steve couldn't forget the on-the-spot murder planning he had once seen Arthur doing. So, when things start going according to plan and the Mafia Don begins undressing him, Steve doesn't give him the sedative drug as planned. Instead, he starts fighting him directly. Now, the Mafia Don was a tall and heavily built man, and he began tossing Steve around. But after a long and intense fight, Steve finally manages to kill him and then forcefully puts the sedative into his mouth to make it seem like a drug overdose. After reaching home, Arthur yells at him, saying, "I told you not to act smart. The plan was going perfectly. Why did you do this? Do you think I'm like you?" Anyway, a few days pass, and Arthur receives another mission from Dean. This time, they had to kill a so-called saint who was very popular in the underworld and had many connections. Arthur was going to be paid handsomely for the job. Their plan was to poison the saint, who claimed to avoid all intoxicants. They would sneak into the place where he was scheduled to have a meeting, distract everyone, and spike his drink with a highly potent chemical that would slowly kill him. So, they begin executing the plan. Arthur climbs the building while Steve monitors everything from his computer. On the day of the mission, they use suction cups to climb up the building and sneak into the AC duct, from where they can see the saint. They know the saint takes a power nap every day for half an hour, and they plan to use this window. But when they got inside, they discovered that the saint was a fraud. He used to lie to people about being clean but was actually a heavy drug user himself, consuming high-dose sustained drugs. Since their drug wouldn't work on him, they simply smother his face to suffocate him and hide before the guards arrive. However, Steve accidentally drops a screw, alerting the guards that someone is hiding behind the wall. A big action scene follows, with lots of gunfire and chasing sequences. But cutting to the conclusion, both Steve and Arthur somehow manage to complete the mission and are just about to escape through the airport. However, at the airport, Arthur spots a man who was one of the 5 people supposedly killed by Harry according to the reports. So if he was dead, how was he alive and walking around here? Arthur immediately approaches the man, and the man begins to reveal everything. See, the whole plan wasn't Harry's, it was Dean's. Dean had orchestrated everything. He wanted to kill off all the mechanics and take over the entire business for himself. That's why he had you plan Harry's death as well, because all the money was handled by only 2 people, either Dean or Harry. So if Harry was out of the picture, Dean would get it all. When Arthur hears this, he becomes furious. He realizes he killed his own mentor because of Dean's manipulation. Enraged, he completely loses control and kills the guy when he tries to fight with him. When he reaches his safe location, he finds that Dean's men have already killed one of his allies. When they come to kill Arthur too, he fights back and kills them all. Steve also arrives at the same spot Arthur had mentioned earlier. There, they are discussing their next plan. While they're planning, Steve notices the revolver that belonged to his father. He realizes that it was Arthur who killed his father, but he says nothing at that moment. They both head straight for Dean, but reaching him isn't easy. Arthur first visits one of Dean's trusted men, and threatens him to find out Dean's location. Then, they head to Dean's office to kill him. As Dean tries to flee with his guards to a safe place, Steve crashes a bus into Dean's lead car, causing an explosion and gunfire to break out. Arthur then arrives and slams his vehicle into Dean's car, flipping it over. Together, they kill Dean. After completing their mission, while driving away, Steve asks Arthur, "Have you ever killed someone who didn't deserve it? Or did you ever feel like what you were doing was wrong?" Steve becomes emotional during this conversation. While they talk, Arthur notices Steve has the same revolver used to kill Harry, his father. Arthur understands that Steve now knows the truth. Still, he doesn't say anything. When they stop at a gas station, the clever Steve only fills a bit of fuel in the car and spills the rest underneath. Later, from distance, he shoots at the fuel trail, causing a massive explosion, meaning Steve took his revenge. Now the house was his, the money was his, and even Arthur's favorite things, like his music CDs and his favorite car, all belonged to him. But as he drives the car, he finds a note that says, "Steve, if you're reading this note, it means you're about to die." Basically, Arthur had made some backup plans from the beginning in case Steve tried to double-cross him. Then, we see the car explode. It was rigged to only not explode if driven along a specific set of coordinates. Steve didn't know that, and he died in the explosion. Even the house he left the CD playing in explodes, because the CD also contained the coordinates that triggered the bomb. The scene then shifts. We see CCTV footage being reviewed at the gas station. It shows that just before the explosion, someone slipped away quietly. That person was none other than Arthur Bishop, meaning the mechanic is still alive. This movie is The Mechanic and it was released in 2011. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to this channel and make sure you comment on it. This was Crawman. See you in the next kill.